Hello friends and welcome to this video tutorial of Slidescope. This video tutorial is an practical implementation of K-means clustering algorithm using Python. This video tutorial is part 2 of our previous tutorial. In our previous tutorial, we covered some basics of K-means clustering. We have also covered basics of unsupervised learning. So K-means clustering is a problem of, or K-means clustering is an algorithm of unsupervised learning. So if you haven't watched those videos, if you haven't seen the unsupervised learning video part and the K-means clustering theory part, so I suggest you to go and watch that video first, and then you can come to this video. If you have some basic knowledge of unsupervised learning, if you have basic knowledge of K-means clustering, or you simply want to see how it works, so you can stick to this video. And for this video, we are going to analyze a wine data set, and these data are result of chemical analysis of wines grown in some region in Italy, but derived from three different cultivars. And the analysis determined by the quantities of 13 constituent found in each other of three types of wines. So in this case, we already know that there are three types of wines, and there are 13 constituent that are added in some proportion to create these three types of wines. But for the sake of analysis, we will assume that we don't know how many types of wines are there. And this data set you can find from this URL here. I will provide you the link of this URL, or you can go to UCI machine learning repository, and from there you can get the data, right? So the data here is in dot data format, right? Wine dot data. So that's why we can use pd dot read underscore csv here. First of all, this is Anaconda Navigator, and we are using Jupyter Notebook of Anaconda Navigator, and we have been using this Jupyter Notebook for many of our tutorials. We have discussed the basics of Anaconda Navigator, basics of Python Pandas in our previous videos. So if you don't have basic knowledge of Python Pandas, then I recommend you to go and get some basic knowledge of pandas, because that will be helpful for you. Uh, if you still want to watch how things work, you can watch this video. And we have separate tutorials for Python pandas, separate tutorials for basics of Python. So you can go and watch those videos for free. They are on our channel. The name of our channel is Color Step, and on which you are watching this video right now. And so these are the 13 input labels here, and one output label here is the class is the output label, and we have 13 input labels: alcohol, malic acid, ash, alkalinity of ash, and magnesium, total phenol, flavonoids, etc. So these are 13 input data, and one output data is there, right? So first you will load these names, and then we are creating a list of these names, and then we are using pd.read underscore csv, because the data is in dot data format. It is comma delimited format, so we have to use pd.read underscore csv here. And we can read data from any URL, or you can do one thing: you can save this data in your computer, and then you can supply the fully classified path of your file here, and you'll be able to load the data. And the second attribute of pandas data frame that we are going to use is the names, and simply names is equal to names. So create a list of names here, and then create a data frame. Here data is the data frame, and that's why we can see top top 10 values here. And you can see that how data is there in our data set. In the first column we have class, then we have alcohol, malic acid, ash, and different things. Let's make it 100, and now you can see that there are this is first class of data, then second class of data. So there are various classes here, right? And we can do one more thing. We can see how many classes are there in the data. So for that, let's insert a row here, insert a cell above, and df or data, and select one column here. And we are selecting a column called class here, and the class, first letter of class is in capital. So df class dot value underscore counts. So this method can be used to see how many types of classes we have, or how many types of any particular type of data is there in any particular column. So for that, this is a series, so you have to select a column to get how many, or to group it in n numbers, and dot value underscore counts. So you can see we have 59 uh, wines of first class, 71 wines of second class, and 48 wines of third class, right? Not third class, but a class labeled as third. So this is how we can find data, find how many values of each type are there in the data. And you can visualize this also simply, use plot and kind is equal to. So we can now visualize that this, we have most number of wines in the data set are of second class. But again, this is a problem of unsupervised learning. So we'll ignore this class here, and we will let our algorithm predict how many types are there, and we will let our algorithm show confidence in the uh, analysis. And for that, uh, now for simplicity, we are choosing two data points here. First, we are choosing alcohol, and second value that we are choosing is OD220 and OD315 value here. So we are choosing two columns from our data set, alcohol and OD315 and OD280 value. We are giving a figure size of 8,5, and we'll see how the data is scattered for these two columns, right? So we can take all 13 columns and put in the algorithm, but for the sake of understanding K-means clustering, we are doing this. So on the x-axis we have alcohol, on the y-axis we have these OD values, and then you can see how data is scattered uh, in the two in this XY plane. And now you have to find clusters, you have to find groupings in this data, you have to find some regularities in this data. So we can draw some imaginary lines here, we can draw some lines here. So we can see that there is some classification is in data, but we'll do our we'll do it with the help of coding. Now there is another attribute in this scatter plot here. So this is pandas data frame dot plot method, and from plot we are using this scatter method, and x is equal to alcohol, y is equal to this. Then in the C attribute you can provide class here, right? So now we know that there are three types of data. So this is again just some basic analysis of data. If we don't have class, we cannot do that. But it will provide some color, and this red color here is representing class 3, blue color here is representing class 1, and this green color here is representing class blue. And you can set the color map to jet. Again, I will share this code with you. If you want this code, you can contact us on Slidescope. I will share the code with you, and or I will share the link from where you can download this complete Python code. And now you can see three clusters here, but some points are still there. Some points of cluster one are there in cluster two. Some points of cluster two are there in cluster one. So this is our basic analysis, and then again from the data set, because now we will consider that we have only two types of input, and we have to predict how many classes of or how many types of wines are there in the data set. So this data.ilog, from this data.ilog, you can choose any two particular columns, any number of columns basically. So from this we are choosing 12, column number 12 and column number 1, and we are placing it as in this way. So you can write this, and dot head is just giving us top 5 rows here. So after doing this, now the main part comes, because we have already imported the sklearn.cluster algorithm. So from sklearn.cluster we have imported Kmeans algorithm. So that's why we can use this Kmeans object here, and so in the Kmeans function, this is a variable, and in the K-means function, n cluster. So let's discuss about some attributes of this K-means. So first attribute is n clusters, means how many clusters you want to take, and like we discussed in previous examples also, in the theory part also, this we have to decide randomly, right? Uh, there is no surety that only three types of data is are there. We can say there might be four types of wines, but there might be five types of wine. So, but in this case, because we know there are three types of wines, so that's why we are taking three here. Uh, Otherwise, you have to take uh, these numbers randomly, and then see how your data is distributed, and then you have to decide how many clusters can there be. Then init is equal to random max iter. That means the maximum number of iterations that we are going to use in this case is one. Again, in the previous video we discussed about iterations also. That K-means clustering is based on iterations, and it takes n number of iterations to get confidence in whatever it is guessing. And so this maximum iteration by default is 300. If you will not provide this value, it is by default 300. Again, random state is equal to 5 here, and random state you can give any value of random state, and dot fit. So the main code for this is I will write the code here. K means, this is any variable, you can take any variable name here. So K means is equal to K means K capital, and K means dot fit, right? So dot fit, and in this fit here you have to apply the data. So whatever data you want to fit in the K means algorithm, and since we know we don't have output data, so we are not considering the output data here. That's why using these two columns, alcohol and OD280, OD315. So that's why we have used data.ilog and square bracket. Then you have to take two values here. One is this colon here, which will take all the values, and then another square bracket is there, and in that square bracket we are taking 12 comma 1. So remember, if you don't use this, then what this K-means algorithm will do, it will fit all the data, right? It will try to fit all the values, and in our data we already have a class. So first you have to drop the class. Again, you can write this code in two parts as well. So first write K-means is equal to K-means, and give n clusters. So you have to provide the n clusters here, and then you can use this again, that K-means dot fit, and in your fit you have to supply x, and x is your all the input data that you want to plot, or you want to fit in the algorithm, and you want to see how many clusters are there. So, and see the value of centroid, and so this is what you can do, and I have written this thing in the same line here. So the task here is to find the labels and centroids from the data, right? Labels and centroids which this K-means algorithm will give you. So now let us go back to the same part. Yeah. So now then you have to create your a new data frame, and your new data frame will be known as centroids data frame. And because you will find centroids from this K-means algorithm and create a data frame from that. So you can use pd.dataframe method to create your data frame, and you can see kmeans.cluster underscore centers. So this kmeans dot cluster underscore centers will give you information about your centroids, right? And because we have n number of data, so we will have n number of clusters, and columns is equal to list. And so this is the second attribute. And because your data frame cannot be created without columns, so in your columns you are going to take these two columns which you have already taken in your these two columns here. So there are n number of ways of taking these columns, right? You can create a new data frame, you can do anything to take these two number of columns. So we are using iloc here, and dot column dot values, right? So data dot iloc, then the same square bracket thing, then dot columns dot values. If you will write this or if you will practice this n number of times, so you will get hold of it. Then we are creating two new variables here. We are calling it figure and axis, and we are creating a subplot because we want to plot it on 1 comma 1 basis. And the data dot plot dot scatter, again the same thing which we did in the previous part, when we knew what is C, right? When we knew what is C and we have a column here. But now what we are doing is we are using k-means labels. So this k-means labels will be used to analyze. This will be used to tell the labels of your clusters. So I have already done that. So you will see something like this. So if you will print your labels and your centroids, so you will see that in your data, first value 3, then 2. This is how your data, this is how various classes are distributed in your data, right? 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. So because in this case we have tried to analyze k-means clustering with uh, clusters n is equal to 4. So you can think of 4 clusters here also, right? But and you can see, and on the basis of the confidence that you have, you will give the output. So this is for n is equal to 3. So this is a more suitable output in this case, because here you can see the clusters have centers. Here the centroids are there in the center points. And so again you have to find these things, right? You have to find the cluster centers, you have to find the k-means labels. So this is something that you have to do. The plotting is not necessary. If you don't want to plot, then there's no point in plotting the data. All you have to do is you have to find the cluster centers and labels. But again you can see how you can plot that. So now take your data frame, dot plot dot scatter. Take on x-axis take alcohol, on y-axis take od280, od315. Axis will be ax, which we already created here using the subplots, and s is equal to 80, and mark right false. So this dot plot dot scatter method, you can read it about on the official website of pandas also. So this is the official documentation for pandas.dataframe.plot_scatter. It has these arguments self, x, y, s, c, and then. So x can be integer or a string, the column name or column position. So whatever column we want to take as x. Again, y is another column that we can take from the data frame. S is a scalar or array like the size of each point, possible value, a single scalar. So you can, or you can give a sequence also. It is optional. If you don't want to use S, you can remove S. And C is again a string, the color of each point, right? So whatever C we are using here is color, and we are, that's why we are using different labels, and it is randomly generating colors for us, and which you can see here. So blue color is representing class number. So you have these values here. So we have three classes here. Blue is 1, this is 0, and this is 2. And so blue is 0, and green is 1, and red class is 2 here, right? So that you can see from data. So now again, so what you have to do is you have to simply use your data frame name dot plot and dot scatter, and then you can provide x, y. Again, these values are optional. So this will give you this type of plot, and this is what K-means clustering looks, right? So originally you had this data, and from this data we are not sure how many clusters can be there, and how many types of, in how many clusters we can confidently break this data into. And then you will choose random values of number of clusters. You will plot graph, and on the basis of what plot you are getting, on the, and on the basis of position of your centroids, you can decide which answer is correct for you. In this case we already know the answers, that's why our vote is going towards 3. But again, you can take n clusters is equal to 4 also, do the same thing, take n clusters is equal to 4 also, and k-means clustering will try to uh, give you the information about centroid positions. So this can be an assumption here. Then you can print centroids and labels also. So this value here, k-means dot clusters underscore centers underscore, this will give you the position of all your centroids, and then uh, k-means dot labels will give you label. Now we are doing, we have copied the same thing, and again we are thinking like we have 5 clusters here. Now you can see that your data will be divided into 5 clusters. So means on the basis of whatever data we have, we can see there can be n type of vines in this case, and hence originally there are 3 types of vines. So we will take this model, and again this is your assumption. So in case of unsupervised learning, it is your assumption, and your graphs, your visualizations, and your data will support your decision, and you can come up with various values. Again, when we have taken n is equal to 5, then we'll see how our data is spread this way, right? So you can see, so this is how we perform k-means clustering analysis on our data set. You can choose any value of n, and again you can perform max iter also. Let's put let's take another analysis here, and let's only put n clusters is equal to 5, and we will not put anything else, right? So now in this case you can see that you have the same sort of result here, and let's break it into two parts. K means first Kmeans is equal to n clusters is equal to 5. So, and then you can do it in this way also. And if you want to see what values are generated, so write this line, and then you can see algorithm is auto, copy x is true, init is equal to k means. We in our example we took init is equal to random. Max iter is 300 here. Number of clusters is fine 5, and init is equal to 10, and job is equal to 1, and these are various values that you can find the meaning of these values on the official website of Kmeans also, but uh, it is not very much necessary. And again give it a value of 3, and you can see. So you can play with value of k, you can play with value of number of clusters here. You can visualize the data using the plotting DataFrame.plot.scatter. And what one more thing that you can do is, uh, instead of doing this, you can fit complete data in it, and then you can print the labels and centroids also. So now you will have some imaginary values of centroids also, because now you have 13 input variables. And let's say data, so you have these many values here. And so that's how you can find values. Again, you first drop the output from the data and then do this. So this is how you can perform k-means clustering algorithm. And I hope you have understood the concept of k-means clustering. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask it. And if you have any suggestions, you can give us suggestions in the comment section. Thanks for watching this video once again. Have a nice day.